Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Nick Slavik. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavik Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this live show, Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly Facebook live show where you write in your questions during or after the show, and I use my over 2 decades of painting, restoration, decoration, wallpaper, furniture, color consultation advice to answer any of your questions live right here. Now, if you send me a question during the week, and I use it for my segment, I will send you one of my handmade mugs, and you will now be part of the hashtag mug club. There's been some recent going-ons in New Prague here between 2 realtors. One is a member of the mug club and has taken one of the mugs hostage. So we hope for a peaceful resolution over the Christmas time. Even the Germans and the United States soldiers in World War II had a Christmas night treaty, so we hope that a peaceful resolution can be met. So today we're going to talk a little bit about furniture finishes. I have a wrote-in question from somebody about a pre-finished entry door that they want painted, and I'm going to talk about my super secret Christmas project that I will be unveiling here in a couple seconds. A very, very hot project right now, super popular. I'm going to show you how to do it for about $8, and you can have the coolest Christmas thing of the season. So, I have a new Facebook page for my Ask a Painter segment. I used to do it right through my personal page that I put all my business stuff on, but I'm getting so many questions now for the Ask a Painter segment, I don't want them buried in my feed. So I have a separate page, Ask a Painter on Facebook. If you have a question, if you have a topic you'd like me to expound upon, do some research on and present for one of these things, start a separate thread on there. Don't keep replying to other people's comments. Like I said, I don't want them to get buried in there and lost. Start a new thread, include pictures, descriptions. If it's a project you're thinking about doing, put a picture of it and say what you want it to look like, and I can walk you through the steps how to get there. If it's something you've had problems on, describe the process you used, the timelines, things like that, and we can talk more about that. Also, through my company here in New Prague, Minnesota, I have a couple openings in my apprenticeship program. So I've had a great response. I announced the openings this last week, and I've had a great response for them. But if you know somebody who really wants to get into the trades and love their job, you will not find anybody who loves their job more than me. And I would really like to convey some of that to the young tradespeople of the world, or budding tradespeople of the world. So I'm looking for full-time, year-round, very well-paid people to join me and learn the trade of painting, restoration, decoration, and a lot of it has to do with people skills, dealing with homeowners and their expectations. So it's not just hired labor. This is something I've devoted my life to, and I understand if somebody just wants a temporary job or something like that, I'm happy to help you out along the way. But if you're looking for something more, if you're looking for a vocation you can devote your life to, this is it right here. So if you know somebody, or if yourself are interested, you can send me a message through Facebook, Instagram, or go through my website, nickslavik.com, and I'd be happy to help you out with that. Okay, so I got a brief question this week about somebody acquired a bunch of wooden game boards, old wooden game boards with stickers all over them, things like that. They're going to use them for a church function. They're looking to preserve all this stuff. Some are large, some are small, but lots of kids are going to be using them. Some are going to be outside, some are going to be inside, and they want to see that these games, these wooden games, get preserved for a very long time. So, as most of you know, I'm a proponent of real oil varnish. It's a very forgiving product. The only downside is it smells a little bad at first, and the drying times can be extended. So, but what you will be rewarded with is a sort of lifelong finish if properly maintained. So, what I would recommend on a small board, if you just have a couple small wooden game pieces or game boards to protect, you can certainly get a rattle can of some oil varnish or some polyurethane and spray it. Very tough over a large surface to get a nice even coat, because the spray band is usually only about this. If you back it up farther, the spray kind of disintegrates and starts to dry in the air, and it doesn't really level out that well. I would say just get a nice brush. Here, I'll grab one of mine here. I use a nice hog-haired brush like this. These are readily available. I get mine at my local Ace Hardware here. They're very, very good brushes. The benefit of a hog bristle brush is they actually hold the oil better, as polyester or nylon doesn't hold as much oil varnish in there. So I like these, and if you use a real oil varnish, the open time is longer, so when you brush it over these things, it'll stay wet longer and it'll actually level out to a nice smooth finish. So I hope that helps with that, for that question there. Mickey Kreuzer, a family friend and my wife's hair lady, wrote in, and she has a question. She's been hankering to get on the mug club. She says she was too nervous to write in a question. We are not a difficult group to work with. I'm glad you finally got your question in. There's no excuse for that. Here is her question. She has a red pre-finished steel door in her salon, and she writes, I have a factory painted door in my salon. I'm ready to change the color. Do you recommend sanding down the door first, or can I just paint right over it? What kind of paint or what kind of primer? When I start a whole house project and they have some doors to paint, what I do is I start off with the wall. Most people want to key their doors into their wall color, at least on the inside. If this is a purely interior passage door, which I believe she has, from past knowledge, I think she has one entry door to her salon and then another interior couple passage doors. If this is an interior-exterior door, one side faces outside, one side faces inside, you want to treat the outside with an exterior paint, inside with an exterior or interior paint. If it's a purely interior passage door, all you have to worry about is that the paint's going to stick. We're not going to be worrying about sun, wind, a lot of wear and tear, stuff like that. So first thing I do when I start a whole house and the couple service doors are going to be keyed into the wall color, I take a little bit of the wall color and I put it in the bottom corner with one of my wall brushes and let it dry overnight, and then come back the next day and you perform the scratch test. So you take your thumbnail and you try to scratch it off. If it doesn't scratch off at all, you're good to go right over the top. I would just make sure the door is clean, dust-free, things like that. You know, tape off the doorknob, tape off the glass, tape off all the edges so you get a nice clean line, and proceed with interior wall paint. But use a nice eggshell, a satin, and a very high quality paint too. I mean, if you're only going to do a door, a quart of the highest quality paint is still somewhere between 15 and 20 bucks. So it's really cheap insurance for a nice door. If the paint does not stick, which most of the time with these factory finished doors, they do not stick. So what you have to do is I lightly abrade it with like a fine sanding sponge or a random orbital sander. You don't want to take a bunch of the stuff off. You just want to braid the surface to get some tooth to it. So when you feel it, it's not rough like a rough piece of wood, but it's just not glossy or shiny or repellent to other paint. So once you've done that, clean it off, make sure it's dust-free again, and I would try out the paint again. Or, you know, again, cheap insurance is just a quarter primer as well, a water-based primer. I've had really good experience with, you know, most people who watch this know that I'm a huge proponent of oil primer, but if it's a purely interior door, a lot of times you can get away with a water-based primer, especially if it's on a steel or fiberglass door. A lot of times those newer water-based primers stick really, really well with that. So you feel free to do that. And then for a top coat, get a very, very high quality nylon bristle brush. You know, something with the ends of brushes, they treat the bristles in a way that's called flagging. And what they do is they rough up the ends a little bit. So just like on the end of hair, how you get split ends and the hair gets finer and finer and finer as it branches out, that's actually good for paintbrushes because it lays down a really smooth finish. You know, if you look at the base of a brush like this, the bristles are very, very coarse at the base near the ferrule, but when you get to the end, they're flagged and they're very soft at the end there, and that lays down a really nice finish like that. So if you're using a water-based paint, use a nylon or a polyester brush, something with a very, very fine bristle on it, and especially on steel doors. I think this one was grained, but you can lay down a very, very smooth finish. One of my favorite sort of go-to paints is for outside is Benjamin Moore Aura, but oddly enough, it leaves a lot of brush strokes. It dries quicker. So the Benjamin Moore Ben paint, B-E-N, I think it's one grade under Regal. Regal does a pretty good job too, but Ben I found in a nice satin or an eggshell actually stays wet longer, and you can actually brush it out a little bit, and it dries to a very, very smooth finish. So, and certainly any questions you guys have here, list along in the comments section, and I'd be happy to take care of those. You won't be interrupting me there. Let's see what else we got here. It was a great year in the painting trades this year. In 2008, 2009, when all the trades took a dump, a lot of guys were out of work, and it was sort of headline news that all these tradesmen are out of work, we're not building houses, we're not improving houses, this and that. And now I really don't know anybody who's good who doesn't have work for quite a while now. So quietly, I think the trades have been really making a resurgence over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's certainly not reported in the news, but you know, it's bared out over my hiring practices and things like that. And I just want to thank everybody for trusting me with all of these projects and with your homes this last year. It was another great year. I took on a bunch of new guys, and you know, it was very good. So, you know, from my family to yours, I just want to thank everybody who's been trusting me with their projects. It's been a very good year. So, so for the secret Christmas project here, enameling is one of the most popular things to do in houses right now. Trim, cabinets, woodwork, everything else. It's a great thing. Now, there's a lot of things you have to take and consider when you enamel stuff, the priming, the cleaning, the this and that. This one is a little bit easier project, so I'm going to lay that out for you guys here, and we will see what this is. So I'm going to safety gear up. I'm going to show you my the stuff I'm going to be using today. Around here. Okay, so my Ferrari of fine finish sprayers, my 395 air assisted airless. I am going to be using some Benjamin Moore Advanced today, one of the finest enamels ever made. I have a fine finish tip on this guy, and from experience, I think we are going to dial in, I have my notes here, with my Benjamin Moore Advanced satin, I dial in about 1,200 pounds of pressure, give or take. And then with the air compressor, down here, we're going to dial in about 30 pounds of pressure, so this will be a little bit noisy. Okay, so we're at about 30 pounds of pressure there. Got the tip loaded up, ready to go. I'm gonna safety gear up here for a second. Another little trick from the pro painters too. If you ever want to keep your paint sprayers good, a little bit of cooking spray on them like this keeps all the overspray off and keeps this beautiful Ferrari of a paint sprayer good. Okay, so we are ready to go. I'm gonna safety gear up. Get this. We'll reveal the Christmas project for the year here. All right, folks, in the garage sale sites, the online forums, I see people are looking for tinsel trees, the old white and silver Christmas trees all over the place. Very popular thing. It must be a resurgence in the sort of retro Christmas trees. This is a $2 Christmas tree from a thrift store. I have some scrap paint, some scrap enamel left over from another job. So for a mist-tinted gallon of paint, $8. Maybe a Christmas tree here, $2. I'm going to show you how to make your own tinsel or white Christmas tree. So here we go.